Good afternoon. My name is Tiffany Jackson. Priceline has asked me to evaluate their terms and conditions. They want me to ensure that their terms and conditions remains a valid contract for the visitors. To digest whether or not the terms and conditions are valid, I will discuss the following: covering the basics. Are visitors bound to it, or should they have to click I agree? If a visitor has a dispute with Priceline, can he or she sue? And lastly, recommended changes. Priceline is an online marketplace that helps users obtain the discount rates for travel-related purchases such as airline tickets and hotel stays. Okay, first, covering the basics. According to the Digital Media Law website, a self-hosting website should have the following in their terms and conditions: age minimum, content limit, access to their personal information, ownership of content, DMCA policy, limitations of liability. Okay, so first, age minimum. Age minimum is in section I. The age minimum is stated in the terms and conditions for Priceline. The age limit is 18. Persons under the age of 18 are not eligible to purchase, cancel, or modify any services available through Priceline. Next, content limit. In section B, first paragraph, it lays out the content and what it consists of and the copyright agreement of the content. Next, we have the access to your personal information. In section F, it discusses the privacy policy, which states that Priceline uses such as name, address, phone number, credit card number, or email address. We also collect non-personal identifiable information, including IP addresses, search preferences related to specific searches, location, and bits through the interactions with the site. Next is ownership of content. In sections B and G, they state Priceline and travel service providers are the ownership of the content. Next is DMC policy. DMC is Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Section B, paragraph 2, claims of the copyright infringement states the instructions if someone thinks infringement has been taking place with their Priceline content. In section C, it discusses the trademarks that Priceline owns. In addition, it discusses the logo, symbol, and name. Next is limitations of liability. Section J covers the liability responsibilities that Priceline holds. It also discusses the breaches that may occur. After reviewing the basics, we can ask ourselves, are visitors bound to the terms and conditions, or should they have to click I agree? I suggest the visitors click I agree to the terms and conditions. Terms and conditions is a mutual contract between both the user and the company who hosts the website. With both parties acknowledging the terms and conditions, both parties should sign the terms and conditions. With agreeing to the terms and conditions, users cannot sue. Which leads me to the next topic. If a visitor has a dispute with Priceline, can he or she sue? I do not think a visitor can sue because a visitor is merely just visiting the site. If a visitor sees some content that is illegal on the site, then they can file a complaint and Priceline will look into it. I believe that a user with an account with Priceline could sue if there is a data breach, similar to the Zappos case in 2013. Zappos had no agreement between the user and the website owner and was sued after a data breach had occurred. Priceline was sued in the past for hidden fees they charged on the site, and the user was charged additional fees for a rental car that he did not use. Which leads me to recommended changes. After reviewing the website and the terms and conditions, my team and I have made the following recommendations. First, when creating an account, users/visitors need to accept the terms and conditions. There needs to be a link to read the terms and conditions and the privacy policy on the account creation page. Next, provide a date for the revision of the terms and conditions. Things change every day, and the terms and conditions may have to change one day. If we provide dates on the terms and conditions, the users will know when the last change took place. Next, add more information about the privacy policy in the terms and conditions. There was not much information about the privacy policy in the terms and conditions. Only a link was provided and maybe a couple of sentences. I think if we allow more information about the privacy policy, then it's also stated in the terms and conditions, so they won't have to keep going back and forth. They can just view one thing, and if they want to know even more information about the privacy policy, then they can click on the link. Lastly, I also recommend that they put more information about what will occur if a data breach were to happen on the Priceline website. It stated before Zappos had a problem with that after a data breach happened. So I think that Priceline needs to provide more information about if a data breach happens so that their user and visitors can be safe knowing that their information has not fully been compromised. And if it has been compromised, then they know what steps to take if it does happen. Also, lastly, Priceline needs to include something in their terms and the condition about hidden fees. They need to create an entire section about hidden fees if there are any. I know there are a lot of third parties on the website, so Zappos need to create a section about the hidden fees and if they occur, and if Priceline is liable for those hidden fees. And that concludes my video.